Funnest part of recording for me would be the first weekend in the last studio where we all were together rocking out the tunes. We had a weekend lockout and we just could all day Saturday until late, went home, had a quick sleep, came back on Sunday and kept going. You know, to have everyone together making sound was, that was the most fun.
And I think my favourite moments from the studio are not so much just like tracking certain songs or whatever, but when we kind of find cool ways to do different things. And maybe it's like little moments we have here and there. Like, for example, Romy was trying to find a good saxophone sound. And we had this idea, well, why don't we just try microphones in really weird locations? So she ended up actually doing a few takes in the toilet with a microphone in the bathroom. So it sounded awesome.
I think in the most memorable moment for me out of the process was we were recording Ting Tong, and right at the end we had arranged to get in a heap of our friends to sort of effectively be, sing the last two choruses with us, like a crowd effect. So we had a group of Steve's mates come in, and some of my mates come in, and even Andrew, I think, did some vocals as well. So, but we had all our friends involved in the project, and I think I'll never forget that. We had, a beer in one hand, and I think that was really cool.
Yeah, so I do a bit of shoe-bop, shoe-wadi-wadi.
Mark and I had the opportunity to record saxophone and trumpet at the same time, and that was quite fun and quite unique as well.
How did you find that?
Fun. It was good.
This new part, we just write it on the spot?
Yes. I don't think we can remember it now.
Yes, we did.
We did.
We did. See you later.
When we first started, we were writing in Steve's basement, which used to be a coal pit, or at least we called it the coal pit. It was pretty dingy, like open brick wall, cold, all sorts of mess and stuff down there. But a great atmosphere for writing music, very memorable, I suppose. These days, I suppose, we kind of try and grab time whenever's possible, really. Go around to someone's house, have a jam, or just when we practice after work.
Mark and myself will sort of jam out a sort of structure on my ratty acoustic guitar, and we'll take a song to a certain level, get a sort of idea for it, and then we'll jam it with the band, and then let it go and see what happens.
We just have so much fun with it, we all work pretty normal jobs and whatnot, and it's not, nice to catch up as friends and then as a band and a few beers, write some music. It's often a blowout for the band, after a long day at work.
An hour 20 where kind of just came to me on a tube journey home one day. I think I was outside South Kensington tube station or something, and I was thinking about my hour-long journey home, and I usually listen to an album from start to finish on the way home. The album cover, the running dog, where's the dog running to? It's he's on his own mission, he's on his own journey somewhere.
It's a photo of a random little dog. I actually took the photo. I was in Ukraine on travels, and saw this staunch dog coming down the road. Everyone asks that. What's with the dog? Is it your dog? Do you love dogs? Yeah.
My favourite track from the album is a song called Ripples. And the reason it's my favourite is it's a little bit heavier and a bit more progressive than some of our other tracks. I sort of come from a little bit more of a rock and metal background.
My favourite song would be "He Was a Fighter." It's a song that I think that means quite a lot to the band.
My favourite track, it does It does kind of vary depending what mood I'm in. I do like No Escape, but generally I'm in quite an upbeat mood, and so my favourite track is Inhaling Butterflies. I just love that song. It's so, I think it's one of, I know this is like it's our own song, but I think it's one of my favourite songs ever. So yeah, I love that track.
Inhaling Butterflies was a funny one because the lyrics, I was trying to describe that moment when you are about to go on stage. And so Inhaling Butterflies, that was eventually the title of the song, is actually a line that's in the verse. And it was my way of sort of dealing with stage fright, or like, you know, you're about to go on, it's like, there's only one thing for it. If you've got butterflies in the stomach, give me more, just bring it on, you know. I don't know, it's a stupid way of saying it.
Ripples, the bass line in that verse is probably my favourite bass line in the whole album. It's very simple. It's just bum, bum, bum. But every 8 beats, I'll do a semi-quaver. It's a skip beat, and it goes from on beat, on time, to bum, 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 bum. And suddenly you're off beat. We're going like this. Bum, 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 bum.
It was the most difficult for me, I think, because that song has the most complex drum parts, and combined with the time signature changes, it makes for quite tricky transitions. So for me, it's the most challenging to play and probably the most enjoyable to play when you nail it. I can't speak for the others, but it's a fun one.
He Was a Fighter was actually, when we were writing this, we sort of were jamming around on the music, and it comes to a sort of a chord change, and we had that dun, 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 and it was right at the time of the London riots, and sort of we initially jammed, very bad taste now looking back, it's a horrific thing, but we were singing at the time, so we should riot. No Escape's a funny one. We had a review recently that described No Escape as they say something like it's a light song about good times, and I don't know whether they completely got that. But I wrote this song about it was more of like a sarcastic. Don't always be the victim. Don't always you know. You hear the line, "You're the centre of the universe. The grass is always greener." And then the chorus goes on to say, "But the wrinkles on your face show all those years of smiling. Clearly, it hasn't been that bad." And that's the essence of the song.
And we wanted that beat to be a bit of the crowd to jump to, the natural boof, 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 boof. So the only way to do that in the recording studio, we could play around with click tracks and whatnot, but we decided I just started jumping. And so when I got to natural jump beside Mark, we got a good video of Mark just watching me, just, you know, and that became the tempo for that song.
No, Mark's a very good trumpeter, and you'll hear on one of the tracks actually on Pacific.
This song started completely with Romy, and Romy, you know, writing this amazing piano bit, which we all sort of started jamming with. And I don't think we ever tried to put lyrics to this one. It was just like it was an instrumental, you know, from start to finish. We left it at that, and the only change was I jumped on the trumpet in that song. So I'm still involved.
The chase, we titled the chase before we wrote any of the words, because it was upbeat. It's like this is like a chase. And we're like, yeah, it's the chase. So we called it the chase, and then we had to write words to it, and it was bloody hard because what the hell? What's cool about chasing anything? Like, turned to about the thrill of the chase, about for young men chasing girls, whatnot. It's our romantic song of the album.
We actually recorded over 3 different studios, so, and of course the 3 studio engineers that we spent a lot of time with, all very different characters, all great to work with, and they put their own stamp on our music, and you know, you might be able to tell subtleties in when you listen to the album from start to finish, maybe.
Recording drums is a little bit of a black art, I guess, because every engineer and studio has their own way of doing things, depending on how the room sounds and what microphones they use, etc., etc. No engineers will record drums the same way. So every time we've worked with 3 different engineers for this album, so they all had their own ways of recording them. We got some pretty good results. But my favourite was when we were recording in the Who's old studio down in Battersea, and we had this great old room, and we had about 15 mics on the drums and in the room around it. And we just got for the tracks Ting Tong and He Was a Fighter, we just got these really huge sounding drums, which I love. You can really, the room just, it takes them to another level. Let me start by saying that recording's shit.
The songs feel, the groove, what makes you go like that is what I feel when I'm playing the bass, and that's when writing songs. That's my main ambition, goal, is to get that feel through.
I sweat like a bitch. I have fallen off a stage actually. We were playing on this makeshift stage at a gig at this little festival thing, and my drum kit was hard against the rear of the stage, and my stool was, the legs were right, almost almost going over. So I did a sort of, let's say, over invigorous ending to a song, and I kind of stood up and fell backwards off the stage. Managed to land on my feet, luckily, but it wasn't my finest moment.
The original amount of songs we were going to have on the album were probably about 19 songs, so we had to cut, what's on there now, I think we cut about 6. So we've got a lot lined up for kind of what could be a second album.
A few of them naturally dropped out pretty quickly, and then there are a couple that were hard to cut, and they had to be made because we had 12 good songs of a certain quality, and the other ones, although dear to us, they weren't of the same quality, and they were sort of compromising the whole album as a start to finish.
One of my favourite songs didn't make the album. I think it's one of our favourite songs actually as a band, although I'm speaking for everyone. It was one of our original songs that we wrote together called Downward Spiral. That is like putting down one of your children.
It was disappointing that we couldn't get that track on the album, but we've got it down from our first EP, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the 12 songs we've got on there.
What's next for Melic? I think we'd like to do a little bit more touring and maybe really get involved in the UK festival season next summer.
We can write more. I think it'll be fun to back this up with a second album at some point. I think I'm looking forward to that.